Okay, we got one more story for you folks, and that is corporate media, CNN and Fox News. I really want to hear your take on this, how they are talking about this election, in particular, Kamala Harris. I know it's another Kamala story, but I have a point here. I think that liberal media and conservative media are speaking about Kamala Harris's candidacy in a way that is actually helping the other side, whether they realize they're doing it or not. I just don't think is constructive. And we're going to start with Fox News really quick. Go ahead and smash that like button if you haven't had a chance to do so. So we're going to start with Fox News. There was a comment here, and let's just get to it. I will say this: if you are going to try to convince people not to vote for Kamala Harris, I think you got to focus on her record and you have to focus on her policies, which right now she ain't got no damn policies. So you're going to have to focus on her record, not doing things like this. And I think this is a bad idea. Listen.
Yeah, and then there's the DEI press secretary telling you that the DEI vice president is the future of the party here. And so the future looks kind of dim for the Democrats here, but this is no shocker either. Kamala Harris, she's the original Haktua girl. That's the way she got where she is. And the party's going downhill if it's in her hands.
That was tough. That was harsh.
That was bad. And let me explain why this is problematic. Number one, to the conservatives, I think this audience is pretty mixed. To the conservatives out there, the DEI thing, that is not helping Donald Trump. Calling her a DEI hire and all these other people DEI hires, that does not help Donald Trump's campaign. That actually helps Kamala Harris's campaign. Because like I said, if you're going to come at her, focus on her record. And I think it's funny, Vivek Ramaswamy tweeted something about this earlier as well. He's like, what are you guys doing? Because this ain't it. This ain't it. We all know about Willie Brown and all that stuff, and I've talked about it, but I'm also, again, I'm not running for office. We've talked about these things, but I think when you focus on those things and you don't focus on her record, it makes it seem like you have nothing else to criticize about her record. So you're going after personalized attacks. And I think that's a bad idea. I don't think that's going to work out too well. So FYI with that one, not a good idea. Two, the DEI thing. We all need to take a step back and remember where this came from. It was billionaire Bill Ackman that started this whole DEI hire trend. He started it against the Harvard University professor because he was angry because she did not stop the protest against Israel on campus. And because there were students that wrote that letter that said that Israel is responsible for what has happened to the Palestinian people. You guys all remember this, right? That came from Bill Ackman, who is a billionaire, who funds Harvard. He donates to it. It's his alma mater. His daughter also attends Harvard. So he was able to get the message going on social media. I saw all this happen in real time. He wrote a letter to the university. Next thing you know, Claudine Gay was pushed to step down. Other university presidents were pushed to step down or were pushed to cave to Israel. So we all need to remember where this came from. So when you make that statement that someone is a DEI hire, you got to remember who else you are turning off when you make that statement, because especially the younger people, they know that came from Bill Ackman. That is not a winning strategy. So Fox News there with the Hawk Tua thing. And the female commentator, she did say, wow, that was brutal, but she also didn't say, I don't think we need to go there. You see what I mean? This is not going to help the Republican Party. Now there's more, because we're going to go there. That being said, there's another clip from Fox News that I do think needs to be debunked. And this is a message that I'm giving to liberal media. You guys, you ran with the story and You guys need to retract this because this is not how you win. What did I say time and time again? If you want to beat Donald Trump, you got to do it at the ballot box. You don't do it this way. So Brian Kilmeade, who, if I remember correctly, is from Long Island, Brian Kilmeade made a comment here about Kamala Harris, and it has been completely taken out of context. People thought he said one word, but he actually said another word. And he has come back and he has explained this. And people still today on social media are lying about what was said. That is not going to help Kamala Harris campaign. Let's get to it. Listen to this.
Obviously, you compare him to President Biden, who is muddling his way through speeches. People know he couldn't go more than
better, right?
Yep, couldn't go more than 15 minutes. She's very good on the prompter. No one even doubted that. She had 3,000 people there. Why are they there? A lot of them have to do with, hey, I'm a Democrat. I thought we were going to go down in flames. Now we have a shot. But the problem with Kamala Harris, number one, she has not had her record exploited heavily because people thought and marginalized her. Even in the Democratic Party, they said, wow, what a bad choice Joe Biden made. Number two is she hasn't sat down for an interview. When she sits down in an interview and says, do you want to fund ICE? Where do you stand on Medicare for all? Why didn't you show up? The most recent decision, already you got a question. She will not.
Pause. So this is where I can make a correction. Kamala Harris does not support Medicare for all. Even in her ad campaign that was just released, she said affordable access. She does not support Medicare for all. So this is another lie that is being told by conservative media. Again, if you guys are going to lie on candidates, like that means you don't have enough to attack, or you haven't done your research and you haven't gone after her record. He started off talking about the record and then he pivoted to Medicare for all. Kamala Harris has never endorsed and supported Medicare for all post 2020 presidential campaign. And she pivoted during her presidential campaign in 2020. So this is the problem I'm having with corporate media covering these elections. That's why you guys got me, because you don't have to lie to turn people away from a candidate.
Not show up for the prime minister's joint session of Congress today. She'd rather address in the summer a sorority, a college sorority.
Okay, that's the part right there. We'll play it again, and then I have a slow-mo. People think that he said she didn't go to the Netanyahu thing. She'd rather address a colored sorority. And when you hear it, it can kind of sound like that. But when I slow it down, let's listen to it again. And then I'll let you listen to the slowed down version so you can hear it yourself.
Already you got a question. She will not show up for the prime minister's joint session of Congress today. She'd rather address in the summer a sorority, a college sorority, like she can't get out of that. So that's her decision. And that's her decision to back up the protesters.
And how about the border? When they ask her about the border, I haven't been to Europe either. Remember, she said that she's the border czar. She didn't go to the president. She didn't go to the border. And now we're learning that two of the border chiefs, the last two border chiefs, she hasn't talked to.
Okay. So what did he actually say? Because people, even today, after he has corrected this, people are still saying, I'm sorry, a colored sorority. That is not what he said. Let's listen to it here. For the hard of hearing that are saying the words were college sorority. So I've slowed it down for you and you can clearly hear him say colored. That is not what I hear. Watch this.
Dress in the summer a sorority, a college sorority.
So what you are hearing here, and for anyone I think that is from that area of New York City, Long Island, they have little different accents or whatever. It is obvious that his accent is coming into play here. I listened to this over and over. The word was college. Do you guys really think he would say a colored sorority? And you got the black guy sitting right there next to him, who was also a host of Fox News. Now, some of you probably think, well, yeah, he would say it. Yeah, I don't think so. Brian Kilmeade's an ass. He's a jerk. But Brian Kilmeade also knows how to keep his damn job. So that's the kind of thing that drove me crazy. And people are still spreading this lie.
Like, she can't get out of that.
So he comes back and he apologizes, or tries to apologize, but also trying to explain to people that was not what he said. So I think, let me come back up here. Pull this out.
See the headlines, start throwing things out. It disparages me, disparages his company. And I give special credit to people like you, Lawrence, for media relations, for going aggressively, Media-Eye for coming back, Dana Perino for weighing in, you guys also, Janice Dean, for people that Megyn Kelly, people just all of a sudden, I was trying to do the radio show, listening to these live press conferences, trying to get the FBI, and I didn't really realize how big this was until I got off. But then I went to Outnumbered yesterday while I'm going through this, and I'm seeing how big this became. And I just think it's a learning moment for everyone on the couch, everyone watching. From now on, things have changed. Yeah. So Kamala Harris is running. They're looking to label anyone, anytime, a racist, sexist, misogynist. I'm not going to back off anything I say. I think it was a huge mistake of going to a college sorority instead of the prime minister's address. And I'm not going to apologize for it. But people who are in the media should be responsible when they report things.
Well, Brian.
And this guy right here, the black guy sitting down on the couch, he came forward also on social media and he said, I was sitting right there. He said college. So this is another one of those things where I have to say this. You thought you heard one thing. Okay. He has came forward publicly and said what he said. The other people said, no, that's not what he said. We were sitting right there. But my problem is, again, liberal media did not correct it. That's why people are still retweeting the video, still saying the same thing. So again, if you want to win, you don't need to lie in order to win. So come back and make the correction. That's the right thing to do. I would say the same thing if it was the other way around. Come back and make the correction. That's the right thing to do. Again, you're trying to continue it, I think, to help Kamala, but this is ridiculous because when he came forward and explained what he was saying, and his other coworkers said, yeah, that's not what you said. Now it makes liberal media look bad. And people look at that and they're like, well, wait a minute, you guys are just lying about things to help Kamala's campaign. So this is what I don't like when it comes to these elections. Like, just keep it real. Focus on the policies. Stop focusing on all this personal shit. And that's how we got here. It didn't used to be like this. You guys remember, it didn't used to be like this. I used to watch like candidates debate and it was actually based on policy or like their record. Now everything is all about all this tit for tat, personal BS. I don't care. This is a surefire way. Both sides are doing it, by the way. Conservative media and liberal media. So he continues here.
I started the show off yesterday warning Americans that this will be the most intense racialized election there is, and they're going to use it. Anything that we say, even if it's true or not true. The sad part is I don't know if there's this massive conspiracy that they think that Fox is just ran just by white people. We have crew members here, people in the control room that are black. We were all on set yesterday, and I think it's insulting to all of us that if something like that were said on here, that we would just all be cool with it. That's not the way that it's worked.
And that's what he wrote about you. He said, as a black man,
as a black man, why would you sit there and let it happen? The reason why I sat there, because Brian said college, and then right after the thing that was missed about that conversation, there was a spirited conversation after that between our stage manager saying, this is why she decided to go to there. There's voters there. But all of that was missed in the moment because they wanted to run with the lie. And by the way, the damage has already been done. I mean, these clips are still floating around in my community and everywhere people saying that it's okay.
By the way, your name is Lawrence Jones,
correct?
Not the black man on the couch.
Correct.
All right, and that's the other thing. And
you challenged him to a debate.
So you guys see what's happening here. So that's my take on all of this. Like, make the correction because otherwise it looks bad. And it's true. I saw it on social media. The guy was saying, like, everybody's saying, why didn't you say anything as the black guy sitting there? He was like, because he said college. What are you doing? So they need to correct that. They need to correct that. That is a doozy. Liberal media needs to correct that one. That was a hot take. And I also think that conservative media, they need to correct this hawk to a girl thing and like calling her a hawk to a girl and focusing on that bullshit. Again, that it does not, you're not focusing on the right things to do. You're not focusing on the right things. And then we go to CNN. Now, CNN, they're talking about the DEI hire as well. And Van Jones, the guy who claims that he doesn't know politics, but is always invited into these damn spaces. I want you to hear what he starts to say about what black men are going to do. Listen to this.
It's the DEI hire part first, and then it's the record. But they can't help themselves but going at the race part of this.
Let me just say something here.
Please do.
This is going to work out badly because they worked very hard to attract black men into the Republican Party. They worked very hard to attract Latin men into the Republican Party. And they were getting a little bit of momentum there. There were a lot of black men who were saying, no, Democrats don't do anything for us, and Biden's weak, and they're starting to look over there at the Republican Party. You start insulting black women, you're going to see something you haven't seen before. Black men are not going to put up with that. I want to send a warning, as clear as I can. I was on a phone call with 20,000 black men.
Pause. So is that necessarily true? Let's go back to Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams was getting insults all over the place. And in turn, she decided to insult black men. She was accusing them before it was even time to vote that they weren't going to show up for her. And they still showed up for her. But apparently white women didn't. And that's why Stacey Abrams lost, you know? So this part here where he says that the Republican Party is trying to recruit black men, it's always interesting. They always put the blame on black men as if there are no black female Republicans, which you're going to meet, by the way. I'm putting together a black voter panel. We're going to have Trump voters on here. We're going to have Kamala voters on here, or supporters, I should say. Election hasn't happened yet. We're going to have third party supporters on here, and we're going to have people on here who are voting for the damn couch. And I'm going to do that because I want you to hear from people from all different political ideologies so that people can understand black people are not a monolith, particularly when we're talking about electoral politics. All of us are not Democrats. So I want people to hear what are the different concerns and why people are supporting the people that they're supporting. Let's get back to this thing, what he said about the black men.
The word protect came up about 1,000 times. Protect this sister. Protect this sister. We're going to protect her. Protect her. You're about to see something you haven't seen before. Look, people messed around with Hillary Clinton and said a bunch of mean stuff to her. Black men set that out. We won't set this out. So I don't think that the Republican Party understands that all the work that they did trying to get us over there, two more days of this, it's going to be a problem.
Look,
and this is what I want to say something here to the conservatives out there. The DEI thing isn't hidden it. The calling Kamala Harris a DEI hire, that only helps Kamala Harris. That does not help Donald Trump. I think even Vivek Ramaswamy is talking about that now. He's like, yo, stop focusing on that. Like, the best thing to do is to focus on her record. And I don't know when this debate is supposed to happen. Apparently, Donald Trump is backed out of the debate. And then I saw another headline today that said now Kamala's backed out of the debate. So I don't even know if they're going to debate in September after all anymore. But that being said, it seems like they're both kind of running away now. It's really weird. But I would hope that when they would have this debate, it would be focused on policy and it would be focused on their record, not all this other stuff. But the DEI hire thing, you got to remember where that came from. That came from the Zionist billionaire, Bill Ackman. Never forget that.
Strategy is in part also to draw a wedge between black men and black women, which if you listen to Van, he's saying that's not going to work. But that is the strategy, is to say, oh, they're so focused on women, black women. They're not focused on you.
Let me ask this.
Well, no, the media is drawing the wedge between black men and black women. You guys are doing that, Abby. You guys are the ones that are trying to draw like this wedge between us and saying, oh, it's the black men who won't support Kamala Harris and the women are going to come out and support her. That's you guys doing that. Not you're talking about the conservatives are drawing that wedge. No, it's not. It's the media. It's the media. It's not the Republican Party. It's you guys. Every time I turn around, whether it's you or Joy Reid, D.L. Hughley, you guys are the ones going out there saying, oh, those black men don't want to get on board. Roland Martin, damn you black men, you better show up and support Kamala Harris. You guys are the ones that are doing that. And this also is not going to help Kamala Harris. Putting blame on black men because they're not jumping to your beat instead of actually talking to those men and asking them what they want in a candidate, that is not going to help Kamala Harris's campaign. Crazy.
Question though, because the people on this call that you're talking about were a subset of the population, and one could argue we're a subset of the population that you didn't have to worry about in the first place, because these margins are so crazy. Democrat math requires you basically to get 105% of black people to vote for them in order for them to get so if this goes from 90% of black men voting for the Democrats to 80, which is still 4 out of 5, which is still overwhelming, you still got a problem. So I agree with you that there is a significant portion of this population that is doing that. The question is really more so the people who are tied into the YouTube algorithms that tie a little bit too much in these notions of masculinity. How are you going to reach them on this one?
So now he's blaming the manosphere. You guys familiar with the manosphere on YouTube? That's where he's putting the blame. That gentleman there, he's saying that it's the manosphere that's trying to pull the black men away from the Democratic Party. I don't know. I mean, from my conversations, it seems like it's not getting anything tangible from the Democratic Party. It's the economic issues, which I warn people about. And I've been saying for so many times, the economic issues are going to be the big problem.
Like Stacey Abrams in Georgia, I think, is the great example about what was the black male support for her or the lack thereof when it came down to it.
I think this is going to wind up being a little.
And he's wrong. So see, this is what I'm talking about. It's you guys. Stacey Abrams received over 80% support from African-American men. You know who failed Stacey Abrams, who did not come out to support her? It was white women. I talked about it on this show. I showed the polls. He is incorrect. This is what I'm talking about. Here we go again with blaming other genders and other people. It's black men's fault. That's why they're not winning. Stop doing that. Like where I come from, blaming the voters doesn't get your votes. I don't know about you guys, but that's how it is where I come from.
A little bit different because I think that when you see black women moving the way they're moving, at 40,000 on a phone call last night, I think the level of social pressure on black men to stand up this time, because this is not against some weirdo governor. This is about Donald Trump. And so I think, there will be some black men who peel away, but I think that motion is going to be frozen. I think to the extent that if it just stayed Joe Biden, I think you've just seen a big flow of black men. I think you're going to see black men freeze and begin to move back because
black men freeze? Do you guys hear this? Listen to this.
Despicable Joe and his hoe, that stuff that's starting to bubble up, that is not going to work.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know what's interesting to me? The way that they talk about black men on here as voters, it's really kind of disgusting because my whole thing is, I mean, I'm obviously not a black man, but if I was a black man and I was sitting here listening to this, I'd be like, well, damn, I wasn't sure who I was going to vote for, but I definitely don't want to come out and support Kamala now. And they're talking about all the money. They're talking about all the money that was raised for Kamala. I sure as hell wish people would raise that amount of money for mutual aid. I sure as hell wish all those people would get together on a phone call and raise that amount of money to help out black communities and help out some of these schools and put food on the table for people, provide clothing and food and the things that we do around here. We do mutual aid. So that's what's crazy to me. That's what really pisses me off. All of you guys can come together and put up all this money for a freaking presidential candidate, But when people ask you to help out in the community and to donate to actually give back and uplift the Black community, y'all are silent. And that's what makes me so furious. Kamala Harris raised all this money overnight for a campaign. This is historic. Where's all those people to help out the Black community? Where's all those people to raise money to help these kids have food on the table? Where are you? You're nowhere to be found. So you see what I'm saying? It's not about the community. It's about an individual. And I don't like that. So some of these people, Roland Martin and Van Jones and all this stuff, you're not really trying to uplift the Black community. You trying to uplift an individual. You found a hero, so to speak. That's what you're trying to do. Because you could have taken all of that money and you could have put that money into the Black community, but you putting it over into a campaign of someone who probably will lose any damn way. Bernie Sanders raised over $100 million for his 2020 campaign. Some of that money came from me. And I told myself I would never do that again. Do you know what we could have done with $100 million to help people in this country? Money down the drain. That's the problem that I have. But Yvette Carnell really hit the message on the head here with Van Jones. This is funny. And we do not care, Van Jones. You are not an expert political commentator, nor do you have your ear to the ground when it comes to our community. You are the green jobs guy who, for reason unbeknownst to me, got elevated to head Negro whisperer in charge. Oh my God, that's good. You are soggy and your takes are devoid of any serious analysis. Say whatever you want, it won't matter. And she was retweeting this where Van Jones said, I said what I said. Will Black men protect Kamala Harris? Jesus Christ. But peep this, fam. I want to sum up this segment with this because Rome had something really good to say. And it's true, right? So some of you have seen, you've noticed that some of the people that were pro-Palestine and said genocide was a red line and they would not support the Biden campaign, all of a sudden, just like that, hopped over to Kamala Harris, even though Kamala Harris has the same talking points as Biden when it comes to Gaza and has the same mentality. So Rome made this video. I want you to hear what Rome said about that and why this is happening and why you really need to pay close attention about infiltration and how some of these people move. Listen to this. This is my comrade Rome from RBM. Watch this.
Someone had asked me, am I surprised to see some of these pro-Palestine accounts, the same ones with the watermelon emoji in their bio, the same ones who probably marched underground with you, push for Kamala Harris? And the answer to that is no. That is one of the most important jobs for an American liberal to have. Hide behind oppressed people, invade their communities and their spaces, and then turn around and use those very same spaces and communities against those very same people. If you are politically aware, then you should know that we don't even have to go that far back to get a good example. Like, for instance, when Joe Biden got in office and Black Lives Matter stopped marching. Police brutality continued to happen, but the marching, the protesting, the rioting, it stopped.
Yep.
And that's just one of the communities that they had invaded. I mean, look at Occupy Wall Street. The same people that was standing with the natives with Standing Rock is against land back. And now the same liberals telling you to defund the police is now telling you to vote for a cop. So, no, I'm not surprised. Not only because I'm politically aware, it's because it's a tale as old as time. Malcolm X already taught you about this. He already explained the wolf versus the fox. Why don't you get it?
I highly recommend going back and reading some of Malcolm X's work and watching some of the old Malcolm X videos on YouTube. They're still there. Like there's a lot of people that have like collections. I think there's one channel that just has all Malcolm X speeches. Watching some of those things, because Malcolm X did try to warn people that this would be an issue.